Okay, if you've been watching, this is Chris Haskins with the realestateroundup.com. This is part 2 of how to buy houses subject to the existing financing, how to buy houses subject to. And take a few seconds, if you don't mind, subscribe to my channel below, like the content, and comment so I can give you exactly what you want to see regarding real estate investing. All right, so let's continue with our how to buy houses subject to. So our first document, there are a bunch of documents we need when we're buying houses subject to, but the first one is authorization to release information. I'm going to splash that on the screen there and kind of go over it with you. See if I can read it along here. Authorization to release. If you notice at the top, standard. Everything's standard in my business. Everything's standard. You got a standard contract, standard assignment, everything. So this is the standard authorization to release information. Dear sir, ma'am, I give my permission for you to release my information for you to release any information to blank, that's me or you, regarding my property located at blank. In reference to any mortgage, liens, or judgments. So we never know what we're dealing with. Could be a mortgage company, could be a judgment, like they went out there and bought a car and had a judgment against them because they didn't pay it, or they went to the dentist and they didn't pay their dental bill, or they had an operation, a medical bill, or they could have a phone bill judgment. So we want to be able to talk to any creditor that's coming after our seller, right? This document will allow you to speak to that creditor on your seller's behalf. Please fax the written payoff. You want to know exactly what that payoff is, and below you can see you just put the borrower's information there. That's simple. Very, 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 very simple. Okay, the next document is your seller disclosures. This is one that I kind of found out. I forget the guy, Peter Conti. I found this one. Thank you, Peter, for coming up with this one. We don't want, this one basically says the seller knows that we're buying this property subject to, and they don't have a bankruptcy pending, or they're not even contemplating filing a bankruptcy on this property. What will happen if your seller files bankruptcy and includes that loan that you just took over? It's going to wipe that loan out, and you're going to have to go get new financing. Okay, so remember, if your seller tries to file bankruptcy, make sure you have this document that says here, I agree that no bankruptcy pending or contemplated by any current title holder in the near future. So should seller file or intend to file bankruptcy at any time in the future, the seller agrees to leave your property out of that bankruptcy. So we have written proof, or they signed it, that they'll leave your house out of the bankruptcy if they decide to file. Will it hold up in court? I don't know. I hope I never have to find out. Next is our power of attorney. You got to have a power of attorney. Well, let's call it, we do a limited power of attorney, and I'll flash it on the screen for you. A limited power of attorney. Why? Because some people feel squeamish about giving another person a power of attorney. I don't know why, because you're selling me the house anyway. Get on down the street. This is a limited power of attorney, and it only allows me to sign documents on your behalf for this specific property only. All right. The only thing I can do is sign anything like the taxes owed or anything regarding the loan. So you got a power of attorney, and you can send this over to the lender, and the lender will honor this power of attorney, and they'll allow you to call in and talk to them and make payments or do whatever you want to this loan. No, you can't refinance it. But I know, for instance, sometimes I remember one time I made some payments. I made an overpayment, and they sent me some money back in the seller's name. So I was able to take this power of attorney to the bank and sign on that check and get that money on the seller's behalf, which it was really my money anyway. Power of attorney, a limited power of attorney. You got to have that. You have to have it. I'm going to tell you that the title company or attorney you're dealing with probably won't even close this deal unless you've got these documents. All right, moving right along. Okay, next we're going to have our CYS letter. I know Ron LeGrand calls it CYA, cover your assets letter. I call it a cover yourself letter. And this letter's, what do we got here? I just had it. Okay. Basically says, in a nutshell, that your seller understands that the loan will be staying in their name. They need to sign a piece of paper saying that they agree to that. Why? Because you don't want people to go hiring an attorney saying that Chris didn't tell me this loan. He told me he was going to buy my house and pay the loan off. That's going to be the worst thing you can do. Because I have heard, never seen it, but I had an attorney tell me that he's seen judges rewind subject to deals and give the title back to the seller. That's another reason why I want you giving the seller some money. We want to give them some type of value in exchange. We don't want a judge to look at our subject to transactions and say, listen, you got all this value, and what did the seller get? They got nothing. So listen, we want to give them $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, whatever you agree to at closing, whatever the deal will permit. But this basically says the seller hereby acknowledges that he or she are conveying 123 Easy Street, the property, subject to the existing financing. It's a whole bunch of stuff here that I'll flash for you. Buyer shall start making payments on this loan starting. You want the specific date that you're going to start making payments. I like to get at least 2 or 3 months out if you can. You don't want to get in there and get under the guns. Me, I know it's going to be a rental property for me. So if you're moving into it, you might want to start making payments now, but you want to make sure that the seller knows when you'll start making payments. Sometimes you can get a few months of payments out of the seller. You can get the seller to keep making the payments while you market the property to a new tenant buyer, all right? So the seller hereby acknowledges that because their existing loan on this property may have a due on sales clause, which all loans do, the existing lender can and very may well demand that the existing loan be paid in full merely as a result of this transaction. Now, will it happen? I don't know. All of my mentors, all have been doing subject to deals a lot longer than me. And I talked to one the other day. He said he's never had a loan called. He's been doing it since the early 1990s. Another mentor of mine has been doing it since the late 80s. Never had a loan called, but there was a joke goes around that they would say, you know what, as soon as you do one deal, your loan's going to get called. So it's highly unlikely, but can it happen? Yes. Seller understands that should lender choose to call the loan due, buyer and its agents do not have the resources to refinance the property, nor shall it be buyer's responsibility to secure new financing. All right, so all we're saying is, listen, if you tell them that you agree that we're taking over the payments, and there could be a possibility that they call the loan, and we're not liable if they call that loan. We don't want to have any liability on us, especially since you're explaining it to them and they're signing off right there, all right? Furthermore, the buyer has made no promises to the seller that the loan will be assumed or paid off by buyer and that the loan will still appear on the seller's credit report. Very, very important. Sometimes people sell you their property subject to, then they go look at their credit and they see that that loan is still on there. You got to make sure that they understand, listen, hey, that loan is going to be on there for the life of this loan till I choose to sell it or pay it off, okay? So it's up to you to make sure that they have this in writing. You got to put these disclosures in here. All right, so this is just a cover yourself letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can, if you want to get a copy of it, just shoot your thing down, shoot a comment below. We'll get it to you. But this is buying a house subject to the financing. Make sure you disclose. Seller hereby agrees to hold buyer and any of their partners and assigns anybody totally and completely harmless of any fault, liability, or harm, either direct or indirect, should this happen, should they call the loan. So that's just a few things. I can't give you everything, and I mean, you know, it's just so much to teach you. So this is part 2 of buying a house subject to. If you got any questions, shoot them in the comments below. So this is on an unconventional side, unlimited, guys. You can buy an unlimited amount of houses if you're buying them subject to. Conventional, going to get a loan. The powers that be are only going to allow you to create so much wealth with their money. It's just not going to happen, guys. I've been there. I've seen guys rolling 3-4 houses, then all of a sudden they stink. No one will extend their credit. They can't get any more money. So that's when we get over to the subject to world, where we can take over millions of dollars of debt, and we're not personally liable. Our tenants are going to pay down the rents, right? We don't even pay them down. They're paying down the loans for us. They're buying the properties for us. This is a win-win all situation when you're providing great housing for people that can't necessarily go out there and get a loan. So we're buying on subject to, and our next training will be on how we sell these properties. We sell these properties on lease options, or you can do owner finance, land contract, or rent to own is what we call it. So we buy on subject to, but we sell on lease options. Why is that? We want to buy and get the deed, but when we sell, we don't want to get rid of our deed, because then we lose our tax advantages, right? We can't write the property off. So we buy subject to, but we sell on lease options. Okay, I got so much to give you guys. I mean, this is part 2. Subscribe to my channel below. This is Chris Haskins with your flip tip, and I'll see you next time with the realestateroundup.com. Peace.